Yeah, wonderful. All right. A very warm good morning and good afternoon, depending upon the time zone you are in. I'm very happy and delighted to have three great minds with us today at Enalito's Thriving E-commerce Summit 2020. Uh, Without moving, spending any further time, I would like to give a formal introduction of each of our panelists this morning. I would like to begin with Deena Gardner. Deena Gardner is the Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Reverie. And it's Reverie is an innovative sleep technology company specializing in helping people live better lives through the power of great sleep. Deena has 16 years of experience and she oversees the development and execution of the marketing strategy for their consumer and wholesale channel, and she has worked in various industries such as entertainment, automotive, retail, media, hospitality, and food. Deena has also previously worked with Paramount Pictures, Yum Brand, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Lincoln Mercury Dealer Association, and Ford Motor Company. And she has specialties in strategy, brand marketing, and advertising. And she loves uh, to sleep, for that matter. Oh, all right, Deena. So thank you so much for joining in today. A lot to learn from you. We
Thank
are
you.
excited to have you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
the next we have on the panel is Alicia Gonzalez. Alicia is the Director of Marketing and Communication at RockFlowerPaper. RockFlowerPaper is a woman-owned wholesale and e-commerce lifestyle business and is an INC 5000 fastest growing company. Uh, their brand is primarily into original product, including like car trays, women's clothing, accessories, and tote bags. Rock Flower Paper has pivoted to provide personal protection equipment to frontline healthcare professionals, as well as companies of all sizes and individuals nationwide, and have delivered 6.2 million masks till date. And Alicia has studied in the field of psychology. She is also doing instrumental work in the field of education. Alicia, thank you so much for joining in today.
Yeah.
The next we have on the panel is Jacob Paulsen. Jacob is the president and founder at ConcealedCarry.com. Uh, ConcealedCarry is a company that support American gun owners focused on their own personal safety and defense. And they're an e-commerce leader in the firearm and self-defense community. And they have a national network of over 50 firearm instructors. Currently, uh, Jacob is kind of currently teaching in person as well as online firearm training, in addition to maintaining a network of blogs, YouTube channel, and other firearm related media. Jacob has pursued a degree from Utah Valley University with an emphasis in entrepreneurship. And that's an amazing set of panelists we have. And Jacob loves to read, and we would love to know more about what he's reading. So thank you so much once again. My first question to our panelists this afternoon is purpose. What is the purpose of your brand? Maybe I can start with Deena.
Sure. Well, thank you again for being here and the gracious introduction. When I think about the purpose of the brand Reverie, I really think about our mission and our vision, which is something that we really consistently articulate internally as a team so that we can all when it's outwardly consumer facing. So our mission is to help people live better lives through the power of greater sleep. And although Reverie is a sleep company, we sell beds, we sell adjustable power bases, we sell sleep products. We really focus on selling sleep and selling better life through sleep. And so, with our messaging, with our products, it comes with the responsibility of education
Yeah,
on sleep hygiene, on sleep health, because we look at it like this. Someone can really want to be a high performer, a high basketball player, right?
yeah,
And they go and get the best sneakers. They go and look at all the reviews to get the best top of the line. What does LeBron wear? I want to wear those sneakers. but
Yeah.
it doesn't make them the greatest basketball player.
Mm.
Same thing with sleep. We all aspire to have great sleep, and we all probably own a bed. But if you don't understand the habits and the behaviors that can potentially inhibit great sleep, our job isn't done. And so I would say our brand purpose and mission is really driven towards that, helping people sleep better.
Wow, that's amazing. I think and it reminded me of Ariana Huffington's book
Yeah,
she has written,
Yeah.
Sleep
Mhm.
Revolution. And
exactly too.
wow. And she has been an advocate for that simple and the most important thing that modern lifestyle has kind of taken away because of all the distractions, we can say, or all the tools that we have got. And she emphasized on it and she has given a talk on it. And it's amazing what you're doing. It's a very, very important thing for high performance. So excellent. Thank you, Deena. Let me go to Alicia. Alicia, what is the purpose of your brand?
I think that the founder, when she started, she had had a successful business before, a men's tie business, and when she started this business, it was inspired by all of her travels and the different textures and textiles and the things she loved about being able to go and explore these places, and the
Hmm.
idea, I think, of bringing that to a customer base.
Yeah.
And then, because you mentioned, the masks and how much they've done, they've also done a lot of donating
Hmm.
for first responders, for communities. And it was very interesting, right? Because here they are a very different type of company.
Hmm.
Obviously, it wasn't PPE. And so you get really down to the foundation of who the founder is and what her purpose is. And her purpose is to
Hmm.
help,
Wow.
right? She
Hmm.
wants to help.
Yeah.
She wants to help people. And so when she was, sitting there seeing what was happening, I mean, we were right, like in the
Hmm.
beginning on this. In fact, even before I came on board with them.
Hmm.
And her first concern was like, how do I help? She's
Yeah.
watching what's happening in New York, and she had the ability um, to pull things together in a way that people were reaching out to her from all over the place. How did she do that? And I
Hmm.
think that is at the core of who she is. Her
Wow.
relationship with Ocean Conservancy, to
Hmm.
date they've donated over 120,000 for that.
Wow.
Sustainable products, fair trade. So that is at the core of every product
Wow.
and what the business is. Yeah.
Excellent. That's a great purpose, and it's a very strong purpose, I say, because brands, I think, having the purpose of giving back to community, a lot of
Hmm.
comebacks. It happens.
Yeah.
I think it's a force. It's a normal reaction, and kudos, amazing, excellent work. I think, especially in today's time, frontline people, I think they are the real heroes. No matter how many superhero movies we can make, if we can feature actually them, maybe people will understand what superheroes stand for. So excellent there. uh, let me go to Jacob. Jacob, you are also in a very unique business. So what is the purpose and vision for your brand?
Thank you. I'm so stoked I got to go last because I thought Deena and Alicia set this up so well.
Yeah.
Uh, Consumers identify ultimately with the deepest purpose and passion of the brand. And
Mhm.
so knowing what that is and then communicating that is probably one of the more important things that we try and figure out as entrepreneurs. In the case of our brand, our deepest objective is to support, empower, and to provide the tools necessary for American gun owners to be safe and to proactively defend themselves and others if they feel so inclined.
Mhm.
And obviously, we're in a space where lives are on the line if things are
Yeah.
not done properly or things are neglected. And so we ultimately strive to provide the information, the tools, and the resources to ensure that people are not being negligent or reckless due to ignorance,
Mhm.
and that they have the tools necessary to do so appropriately, correctly, and legally
Yeah.
and safely. And so we really look at that at the very core. Our mission statement effectively says that we want to empower guardians. And we
Mhm.
look at that as a guardian as somebody who is trained, willing, prepared
Yeah.
to defend themselves and others from lethal and illegal threats.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. That's very unique, and I think really, uh, I think that's the way because I think product education and awareness. I think that makes a key difference. So that's a great purpose there. Thank you. The next question that I have for all of you is the last 6 to 8 months have been challenging. And I think the next 1 year definitely will be challenging. Along with it, it will present a lot of opportunities as well. So how was the business or what trend have you seen in the last 6 months? Uh, I mean, was it going up? Was it going down? How were the numbers for you in the last 6 months? Maybe let me go to Alicia first.
Yeah, so as I think was true with a lot of people, it's been a difficult 6 months because for one, wholesale. So
Yeah.
if you are on the wholesale end,
Hmm.
that business changed completely, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, these places are closed down.
Hmm.
Some of them are still closed down. We were lucky to be able to have, uh, the opportunity to help and also add some product lines, plus really focus in on the e-commerce section of it. And it's not that wholesale is a dead business. I don't think that's true for any wholesale business,
Mm.
but I think that it's just struggling to climb back up, and it's going to take some time for it to be what it was,
Yeah.
where it was because of manufacturing and everything.
Hmm.
So I think that was the biggest hit.
Hmm.
And then the other thing that started happening, let's say since October,
Hmm.
the elections,
Yeah.
a big deal. So
Hmm.
now you get into your ability to advertise,
Yeah.
and it's more expensive.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's
That's right.
it's harder.
Hmm.
And so those are some challenges that, luckily some of them are kind of going to fade away over the next few months, but some are going
Hmm.
to get more difficult, I think, because people at first they're like, consume, 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 consume content, ads, commercials, whatever. I
Yeah.
love it. I want it all.
Hmm.
Pass the popcorn, and they were happy to be there. And
Hmm.
now people are like, oh, I'm trying to work from home and figure out how to homeschool all of these kids, and I have interruptions,
Hmm.
and I don't have more money. God, these kids eat a lot. And so it's like they're back to that mindset of please don't waste my time, I
Hmm.
think. And so now you really, and everybody's online.
Yeah.
Businesses are really pushing, even businesses that never did online advertising. What are they
Hmm.
doing?
Hmm.
They're pushing it online. So I think the competition is higher as well. I think you
That's true.
really got to bring your A game.
That's very
So
true. Absolutely. Because I think that what you said, because everyone is working from home and spending almost
mm-hmm,
all of their time online on all the channels, on all the mediums, possibly, that's one space which is becoming very costly. And getting that
mm-hmm,
attention for a brand from a consumer, because everyone is trying to get that little attention
yeah,
and to make a mark
mm-hmm.
is a very tricky thing. And I think marketing can play a huge role in having that human connection. So that's a great thought there. Deena, I think people are at home. People are spending almost, I think, beyond the office hours, spending more of their time actually working from home, and they need a good night's sleep. So, like,
Mm.
what trend have you seen in the last 6 to 8 months for your business about the numbers?
Yeah, it's funny. I do. I started with sleep hygiene and health. And although people are working from home, I want to make sure I do not advocate working from bed. That
That's
definitely
funny.
is not on brand or on mission for us. But
Yeah.
people are investing in home. I think all the reports have pointed towards there's still some pretty major spending and growth in that category.
Hmm.
And with that, a lot of that is tied to comfort
Yeah.
and even wellness. So we're seeing that in products like home fitness equipment, or making sure your home office is set up. And so I think when you are going through something like what we've experienced with this pandemic and the impact on health, people start thinking about the wellness equation. And again, with our mission really tied to focusing on sleep and how it improves health and life, we really thought it was a great opportunity to tie in how sleep can be a part of the wellness solution. So you have proper diet, exercise, and getting the right amount of sleep. I think anyone that's ever had something that was going on and the doctor is like, are you getting enough sleep? Make sure you're getting sleep. Maybe make sure you're doing this. And so some trends that we're seeing, you know, we've been able to win in that space because people are at home, people are comfortable. But a win that we've actually seen is a shift in our conversations and our content. So, you know, this isn't necessarily a time all over social or in our ads to talk, okay, bed deals, bed deals, bed deals. Let's talk about sleep. Let's talk about stress. Let's talk about the importance of recharging. And so, you know, looking at brands that have been able to really win in the area of smart, thoughtful, empathetic content, and finding ways to connect with the consumer in such unusual times has been a trend that's been quite notable.
Great, amazing. Yeah, I mean that's the way, I think, because that's how uh, I think the consumers are becoming more conscious these days, and I think the product that you have is a very very unique. I mean, a most important piece in someone's life, and I think the benefits of it, and because most of the diseases that are happening, or even in today's pandemic, I think doctors are recommending having great sleep and the advantages of it. But most people do not pay attention to that simple and important element. So that, yeah, that's an interesting insight from you. Thanks.
For sure.
Jacob, the next question that I have for you is, you are in a very unique space, and I think you are trying to have that knowledge and for using firearms, like uh, for I mean, because it's a very there is a very thin line between it's a weapon, and if it used correctly, it's great, but if it's kind of in the wrong hand, it can be kind of very very disastrous. So what kind of content you guys focus on while doing your brand building?
And that's a challenge we have to deal with all the time. So on
Mm-hmm.
one hand, obviously, there's a core demographic of people out there who see this as a political issue and not a
Mm-hmm.
safety issue.
Uh-huh.
And so we have to very cautiously walk a line
Yeah.
where we don't engage in politics, we don't endorse parties, we don't endorse candidates. We do obviously have to discuss policy on occasion when it relates to firearms, and in this case, the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Yeah.
But primarily, our content's got to be focused on safety and training.
True.
We really are trying to drive the consumer to understand the right habits, the right tactics, and the right
Mm-hmm.
practices to ensure they're safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a our consumer base does not choose to own or carry around guns because they think it's likely that they'll have to use them.
Mm-hmm.
They choose to own or carry around guns because they think that this odds, the stakes of them not having the gun would be very high should they need it. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly talking about preparing for a scenario that's unlikely to ever happen,
Right.
but yet should it happen, the stakes are very high.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that the emphasis on safety has to be extreme,
That's true.
because you're significantly less likely to need that gun in a defensive scenario than you are to have some sort of accident or negligent discharge.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be cautious, right? We have to make sure that we're educating and informing the populace while also helping them understand that we do support
Yeah.
their ultimate objective, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is to survive and to defend.
Mm-hmm.
And so we emphasize our content around training, around
Yeah.
safety, and
Mm-hmm.
around proper tactics and practices.
Wow, that's excellent. That's a great way you have taken there, and I think that's the best way for I think that's like a positive reinforcement, we can say, and it can have a huge impact, because I think the more people are aware about why they're carrying it and the safety aspect of it, I think it can really, really be a game changer and really help. So that's amazing. The next question that I have for all of you is I think business is becoming crowded. I think we, all of us have competition. And to stay ahead of the competition, the only way we can beat the competition is by making sure that we work on our products and to make sure that the end consumers become the advocates of our product. So, what kind of marketing strategies do you adapt? Uh, Not just, let's say 2020 is coming to an end, but for the next 5 years, what kind of, have you given any thought to what kind of marketing you're going to adapt? Are you going to do something very different that you haven't done so far? Uh, Anything in particular? Because we all are doing traditional marketing in our own ways with all the channels. But have you guys given any thought to what different needs to be done next year? Maybe let me go to Alicia. I think you're on mute.
I was I
Yeah.
muted. So for next year, you know what, we're going to continue to do what we've really tried to do this year, which is to relationship build. I absolutely believe that customers, employees, um, friends of
Mm.
customers who they like something, but maybe they would never wear that, for
Yeah.
example. Maybe they would never buy that, but they still love it. You ever had that experience? And
Yes.
so, really working with the assets that we have already,
Hmm.
um, and nourishing that and building meaningful relationships. And when I say meaningful, it's more than building a relationship with the idea that
Hmm.
they're going to produce something for you or give something to you. It's
Hmm.
really about thinking about that target audience and what
Hmm.
value can you add to them, right? What
Hmm.
can you bring to them? And then in addition, making sure you're putting yourself into the right audience,
Hmm.
so that that value is mutual, so that you're really getting in front of the people um, who want to see it. And then I think that Deena mentioned something that needs to be at the core
Hmm.
of everything that a brand is doing, and it's
Hmm.
really education.
Excellent.
That is, yeah, that's going to be key. Like, helping people understand how many plastics are in the waters,
Yeah.
right? This is why we not only donate but use products to keep plastics out of our water.
That's great. Yeah, I think that that truly resonate with what's happening globally, and I think brands have a huge role to play in setting that tone. I think
Hmm.
as more and more brands start adopting this practice, I think it's going to play a pivotal role in the long term,
Right.
and ultimately it's going to benefit the entire mankind. Because I think few
Right.
brands are the leaders, but I think what you're doing is excellent.
Kuldeep, I think that one trend that is a little bit newer
Hmm.
is brands are having to take a stand.
Yeah, that's
Brands are
right.
having to take a stand. If a brand believes in something, you
Hmm.
can't really be wishy-washy anymore. You have
Hmm.
to stand for something that your community stands for, and you
Yeah,
have to be willing to be honest and open and
yeah.
have some conviction about it. So that's the other thing.
That's yeah. I think that that really connects with the target audience, and ultimately, the consumers are becoming more responsible. I mean, they have access to all the information. Even I have noticed, even before someone is buying, people do their own research of what the fabric is, what the brand stands for, who are the people, and that's when they go for, because that's the trend is changing. So I think that that's interesting what you're doing. Let me go to Deena. And Deena, you have spent enormous, like almost a decade, working in the field of marketing. What are some of the strategies that you adapt as a custodian of your brand for engaging with your target audience? Definitely for you, everyone is a target audience, but still, what is that unique thing that you do in your marketing strategies over the years and definitely for the next 5 years?
For sure. I would say I would say really understanding those moments
Mm-hmm.
from consideration to purchase and then post purchase. And
Yeah.
so diving into those moments or those journeys has been really important. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been sort of this art and science
Yeah.
experiment. You know,
Yeah.
we're diving in and understanding what are some of those triggers.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the reasons, especially in our category, that
Mm-hmm.
may prohibit great sleep? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what are some of the barriers the perceptions out there around it? And so being
Mm-hmm.
able to dive in, understanding our audience, understanding our existing customer has been a part of really mapping out those different moments that we feel like we can engage and be a part of it. And
Mm-hmm.
really that's helping to drive our content,
Mm-hmm.
our marketing initiatives, our media mix, just about everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
We really are looking consumer first, customer first. And I say both because,
Yeah.
you know, obviously we all want to gain a
Mm-hmm.
new audience. We want to
Yes.
gain new customers, but it doesn't end there, you
Mm-hmm.
know, for us. And I have to keep bringing it back to the mission. So
Mm-hmm.
we've sold them a new bed.
Mm-hmm.
We've sold them new whatever. We've sold them a new bed. And all right, we've got the sale. It's in your home. What happens next? You
Yeah.
know, how do we continue to stay there and add lifelong value to
Mm-hmm.
this experience? And so that's been at the core
Yeah.
of how we're approaching the business right now. And I think it's even more important and a learning from all of this year,
Yeah.
how we can continue to add value and in unique ways.
Great.
You know, when we think about a perfect example,
Mm-hmm.
um, for furniture, a bed, you normally are getting that delivered white glove. You're getting someone in your home.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there. So think about when you have social distancing
Mm-hmm.
and you have different things that it changes
Yeah.
the delivery experience. What does
Yes.
that look like? How do we communicate that? How do
Mm-hmm.
we still meet the expectations, but in a safe manner, both for our staff and for the customer? And so,
Yeah.
really being in tune to all of those different things
Mm-hmm.
is so vital and important right now.
Wow, that's amazing. I think kudos to the amount of, I think the attention to detail that you are giving there. I think right from the trigger point of purchase till, and you're thinking about the post-purchase experience because anybody who buys from you, they become your ambassadors. I mean, what the after purchase, they're like the experience that they have, they talk about it that they bought this unique product and they share it. They become the ambassadors, and that plays a pivotal role, especially for a product that you're selling. Maybe if you someone is buying it, they're not going to buy it for the next 5 or 10 years. So that
Yep.
one single experience can truly bring that next customer. So amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really
And
happy to
just
know that.
you brought up a added to that point in
Yeah.
terms of the experience.
Yeah.
You know, I really believe that we can learn a lot
Hmm.
from, you know, some of our moments that we bump our head a little bit.
Yeah.
And like many brands, you know, when you have not so great customer
Hmm.
experience
Hmm.
situations, you need to look at that as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've been learning is, all right, the person has the product in their home,
Hmm.
it's working, and then suddenly it's like, oh, you know, I don't know how to use this, or I don't know how to do this, or this isn't working, and it becomes a this product is not what I thought it was. And
Yeah.
so something that we've been able to do, especially with marketing, is work in partnership with the customer service team,
Huh.
with the tech support, with everyone. So,
Hmm.
for instance, if someone gets home and they think that their remote isn't working,
Yes.
we are, you know, creating content on our website and our social, on our YouTube channels of hacks. You
Yeah.
know, hey, is this happening? Consider this. Is
Hmm.
that happening? Consider that. And
Uh-huh.
it really, again, has helped inspire and drive the type of content and the
Hmm.
channels in which we distribute it.
Wow, that's excellent. Yeah, I think the product education is the key to success, and ultimately, you can't be there for the customer all the time, but your content speaks for itself, and then the consumers are happy with what they're getting. Great. Uh, and Jacob, like you have a, like the business that you are in, what kind of channels do you use to acquire your customers? What channels have worked best for you? And what kind of strategies do you adopt for marketing?
Yeah, I love what Deena and Alicia both shared, and so I'm digging deep to come up with some incremental value. Uh, in terms of channels, we acquire customers through a lot of channels. We run a lot of paid advertising, so all your traditional places you expect online. So we rent a lot of email, a lot of search, paid search, and a lot of social paid advertising, video ads. Very limited in display, but we're pretty proactive there. I think for us, what we see as a key marketing strategy, and we continue to invest really heavily in this, and I see it only becoming a bigger part of our strategy and emphasis, is in what I would call utility or utility marketing. And we wake up, and in our business, the key mantra here is how do we make it? How do we cause our customer or potential customer to engage with our brand daily? How do we become an integral part of their lives? And unfortunately, they don't sleep on our product. I think Deena's got a one-up opportunities there. But even with a mattress, it's sort of out of mind, right, at some point. And so we're trying to figure out how do we engage the customer in a daily way. And so there's a lot of things we do. For example, we publish 4 different podcasts, and that's probably a growing part of our business, because podcast is an appointment type engagement with the consumer, where they're subscribed and they're tuning in and they're listening on a regular basis, in a commute to work, or while they're working out, or whatever it might be. We have a heavy emphasis on mobile applications. So our flagship app has been downloaded, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of times, onto consumers' phones, more people than have ever bought anything from us. But that's a way they can engage with our brand. And we're hoping that every time they flip on their phone, they're going to see our logo sitting there, and that we've provided tools and resources beyond just we sell products, right? Obviously, the real resources consumers need. So in our case, that's things like permit reciprocity maps, figuring out where your concealed carry permit is valid. We're looking up legal reference material. Oh, can I have a gun on a school campus, a college campus, when I'm in, New York or New Jersey or Oregon or whatever it might be, and a variety of other resources and tools like that that hopefully drive the consumer to engage with us on a regular basis. Because if we become an asset, right, if we become an integral part of their daily lives in a way that's valuable, then they think of us first when they also want to purchase a product. Right. And so really trying to become a utility in the hands of the customer is our number one emphasis. When you go to our website, you might take a few minutes before you figure out we sell products at all. Frankly, e-commerce is not the forefront of our homepage. It's the content, it's the tools, it's the utilities. The other thing that came to my mind, and I think that this is also a bigger part of our future, and that is, for lack of a better word, trying to integrate ourselves with bigger tribes in our industry. So in our industry, I think all industries are very tribal. And what I mean by tribal is that you have these kind of high profile, for lack of a better word, influencers or celebrities who, because of the nature of their reach, they've created their own tribe. A group of followers or consumers that believe them, follow them, and trust them as a brand advisor, as a consumer advisor. And us trying to create relationships with those tribes, identify who are the leaders, who are the faces of those tribes, those communities, and then go to integrate ourselves, to introduce ourselves, figure out the rules of gameplay in that tribe, their language and how they like to consume, what the rules are relative to advertising or engaging or providing product for review. That's a huge emphasis of ours right now. And trying to become more integrated with the larger communities in our space.
Wow, that's an excellent strategy that you have in place there. And more than a product, it's ultimately how you are helping the consumer, and you are looking at how you are adding value to their lives through the content that you're creating. And ultimately, it's resonating with them and how you can acquire those customers. Wow, that's an excellent strategy there. Amazing. The next set of question that I have for all of you is, so you guys are doing traditional marketing, paid ads, search engine optimization, content marketing. Like, how is the ROI for you when you're doing paid advertising? Is it 2x, 3x, 4x? How traditionally has been the ROI for you guys? Maybe Alicia?
sorry. Okay. So it could be 6.
Okay.
But it has gone as low as 1, and now not stayed there, right? Because that's absolutely a fail. But if something, if something happened, something wasn't set up right, especially on the traditional end, right? It could be the smallest thing. And so I think the key to keeping it high is that you really have to be diving into it
Yep.
and on top of it all the time. And you also have to understand, I like what Deena said. I really like Deena. I like what she said about the combo of art and science, right? Because that's kind of where it lies. It's like, okay, this is complicated because you also have to learn to look beyond the data.
That's
Because
right.
the data is going to tell you everything, except it's not, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to tell you, what happened before. It's not going to tell you what's happening after. It's not going to tell you, that 5 people purchased because they saw this one person wearing a kimono or whatever. I mean, I had no idea Deena had just bought one of our products. That's it. It's so exciting. And so I think that you have to be able to take risks, and you also have to be very honest. If you have a super high return or a low return on something, is there a temporary cause? Is there a temporary reason? So is it COVID? Can you sustain this, right? Is it the elections, whether that is a win or a fail? So right now, we're doing so many different things that it is fluctuating. I would say on the high end, it could be, 6 or above.
Which channel do you use primarily for your paid marketing? Is it Google Ads, Facebook, or?
So we use Facebook as a primary, like a lot of people. I would say that in the future, we're looking to diversify a lot more.
Okay.
And of course, we also do, Google Ads. We do, all over every kind of platform. We do display ads. We do all the traditional things.
Okay.
But I think, influencer marketing is the next really big project to really dive deep into that.
Great. So that's a considerable ROI, I think, and there's a huge potential to improve that ROI by understanding the data and getting those actionable insights. Ultimately, the thing with every brand is they are kind of getting a lot of data from not just from their store backend, but from other channels as well. But
right. And you don't want to be like this, right? Like you need to find the way, because I can be up here, and if I'm down here on this other thing, then it's not worth it. They're washing each other out. So but you also don't want to be married to a single platform, a single form of advertising. Anything could change. They could be like, you know what, we're going to double our prices. Or you can't advertise this one thing or whatever. So diversity is important as a culture and as a way of advertising.
That's true. Being omni-channel has definitely its advantages, and that's the only way in that conversion funnel you are able to make the people aware about your product and brand, and then finally the conversion happens. So that's great. How about you, Deena and Jacob? Like you mentioned earlier that you're using all the channels, but like how much ROI do you typically see on a particular channel, and which channels are you using? Like, is it Facebook work best for you, or is it Google Ad which works best for you guys?
I guess I'll speak a little bit without getting into numbers around ROI. It really depends on how you're defining it. How are you defining your ROI? How are you defining your business objectives and your KPIs? And that changes from channel to channel, promotion to promotion. Okay. And so that's very important for us. We have being in the digital space and being able to experiment everything from testing headlines to creative.
Yeah.
That is really, really important for us. And that helps us, that helps us learn very quickly and adjust as needed, based upon the data. I'm a little bit of a data nerd when it comes to consumer insights and how people
Wow.
are behaving. And I think that is so much of the power tied to advertising in the digital space, for businesses like ours.
Yeah.
When I think about our existing mix and what we see, as effective, again, it goes back to the objective. If we're thinking about customer acquisition and lead gen, there are definitely tools and things of value, when we think about Facebook remarketing, when we think about the ability to tie into lookalike audiences.
Yeah.
If you're looking at really winning in the space of brand and search and tie in our SEO, I mean, that obviously is an area that we can take advantage of a lot of space with Google search.
Yeah.
And so again, there's no one size fits all approach to any of those platforms, and the objectives and the KPIs we design and define in those areas.
Oh, that's an excellent thought. Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of deep dive into based on the KPI. Absolutely, the ROI can be measured, because sales cannot be called as the only criteria of conversion. Even a product discovery by a person at a very early stage, and maybe over a span of 2 years, he become your buyer. That can also be treated as a conversion. But yes, it's a long conversion cycle. But yeah, that's very unique of what you shared. How about you, Jacob? Like you are doing like almost on all channels, but which channel has worked best for you, or you believe in kind of doing it on all channels?
I think our business model is probably significantly different than Deena or Alicia, which
Yeah.
it should be, right? Because everyone's model is a little different. We don't sell a lot of expensive high-end products. Like
Yeah.
our more expensive products are like $300-400,
Mm-hmm.
but probably like our median order value is probably more like $70.
Uh-huh.
And so we're in a bit of a different game. I mean, our objective is to really break even on the first transaction, because we sell hundreds of products, and if our back-end monetization strategy is really strong,
Yeah.
we should be able to monetize that customer over time.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can acquire them at break even, that's great. The biggest challenge we have is that our industry blows in the wind with socioeconomic things happening.
Yeah.
The election is a great example. People always ask me, "Oh, so how are you doing year? What are you forecasting for this year?" It's like I have no idea.
Yeah.
Our industry is a complete disaster, right? The whole presidential election.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. People are going to buy guns. Right now you can't even find ammunition for sale in this country. It's all gone. We've had 6 million new gun owners acquired in the United States this year. But on the same token, you supply and demand is a huge problem. Factories and everything related to production is limited because of social distancing and other regulation. It's a mess. Rioting is huge. Rioting affects us in a big way. There's no way I can forecast that people are going to get really upset about what some cop in Wisconsin did. But when it happens and people start burning down things, our web traffic triples. So it's really hard for us to maintain those kinds of things. We might have a Facebook ad campaign and we might be getting 150% return on ad spend today. But tomorrow the ATF announces that they're going to ban whatever product, and poof, now we're getting 300% return on ad spend overnight, because supply and demand cost per click drops. Our audience is engaged, and so it's really all over the map. I think our strategy is sort of in the moments when, for whatever reason, sometimes tragic reasons, we're getting much greater reach than we try and take advantage of that. We try and hit it while it's hot, and in those times when it's not going so well, we just try and break even on acquisition. If we break even, then we just have to have our ducks in a row to be able to do back end monetization. Specific to platforms, and I know you asked that. Facebook's definitely a big primary reach for us, though the secret's out. So it's not what it once was. I think Deena and Alicia would agree with me. Right around April 2018, we saw a huge shift from, I don't know, a combination of variety of things. I'm sure the GDPR was one of them, but just cost per click went through the roof. And so everyone's, supply and demand is gone. There's no remnant inventory. Facebook is sold out. So costs are going up going up there very quickly. And so, we're proactively looking for new traffic sources where we could scale at a predictable rate and still target well, but it's a challenge.
Wow, that's absolutely. I think because in marketing strategy, like what works for brand A may not work for brand B, and definitely everyone has to kind of have their own unique way. But I think in terms of what you guys have mentioned about ROI and kind of connecting with your consumers, so I think a very different approach has to be taken. My next question for
Can
all of
I
you.
ask a question real
Sure.
quick?
Yes.
Are either of you using SMS messaging?
Yes.
It's
I could go
evolving.
deeper, but I didn't want to cut away from Deena. So we use it both for lead gen, as well as to drive ongoing increased value per consumer.
We're using it as well, and it's like a building thing I'm seeing. I mean, first we're going after our email list, but I see a lot of potential there. So I was curious if you guys are diving into that, Deena.
Yeah, we definitely see the potential there as well. We are not currently using it. We've used it for services, for appointments, for different things like that. But in terms of being a part of our marketing and advertising strategy, it's something that's on our radar that we're definitely considering. I have to talk to you both offline and get some more insights from that. But I definitely think when we think about lead gen, again, I'm a student of our industry, and I sign up for as many different, I get bombarded with codes and content because I'm in so many people's lead gen drip. And I really find the text really interesting. I mean, there's a balance of annoying, and then there's a balance of great content that's useful, reminders. And, I definitely find that it's an interesting area to go in. I think I'll enjoy it a little bit more now that we're out of the election and I'm not getting bombarded with those types of messages too. But it is something that we're exploring as a company.
Along those lines, Alicia, and I'll just leave you with this thought. SMS has a very specific hard cost associated with it on a per message basis, and that's an issue of tools and strategy and things. But push notifications is something that we're very aggressive with because we have an app and people have it installed on their phones. There's no cost, zero cost to us for us to push a push notification down to anyone who has our app on their phone, assuming they haven't blocked notifications or unsubscribed. And so it's a much more scalable, higher ROI tool for us. And so figuring out how to scale that as fast or as aggressive as we're scaling our SMS list is a key strategy for us.
Excellent.
I like that. That's interesting.
Interesting. Absolutely. I think, Alicia, you touched upon a very important aspect in terms of marketing, because I think the channels are evolving, and we have seen SMS and web push as a most interesting way to communicate with the audience, because you have a very, very limited space and you have a very tight text character limit, and you have to be creative when you are communicating, because in an email you have so much of space available in which you can talk and communicate and share your product. But in an SMS or in a web push, you have to kind of deep dive what word, what link I need to send, what image I need to use, and it has its own impact. And so I think, thank you for sharing that insight, Jacob, there. The next question, while we have 10 minutes, so I wanted to ask you guys, like, consumer behavior is kind of dynamic. Let's say the customer that you have acquired 1 year back, uh, unless and until you are able to derive maximum lifetime value from that consumer, it's not going to help your business, because acquiring a new customer is a cost. The customer acquisition cost is huge. So how do you understand your consumer behavior? Do you use any tool to understand your consumer behavior? Maybe let me go to Deena.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different tools there. We frequently lead, own, and lean on research. You know, whether it's firsthand or research by others. And so again, really being able to understand what are those triggers, what are those moments, and I would say also testing, a lot of message testing, a lot of social listening, being able to make sure, again, you know, not only social listening with the consumer or our existing customer, but across our organization. You know, the example that I mentioned in terms of customer service and learning from an opportunity really sparked an entire hacks campaign on social with YouTube over the last couple of months. And so really being to involve as many all stakeholders that need to be involved, but engaging with more people outside of our marketing bubble has been really important to understand those.
Wonderful. That's amazing. And I think in the consumer behavior space, we have kind of deep dived and understood that uh, the customer acquisition cost can be minimized, but the only way it can be done is by understanding the consumer behavior and knowing the customer lifetime value. So if you are able to figure out the lifetime value of an individual customer, you can figure the lifetime value at a segment level and then at a store level. So ultimately, it allows you to kind of predict what numbers you're looking for, what's going to be your revenue number for each quarter. And based on that, you can then do your marketing projections. So like we understood that we can identify 30 different customer segments just by understanding the consumer's recency behavior, frequency behavior, monetary behavior. And then we can come up with segments like, okay, which are the set of customers that your business is about to lose, or which are the set of customers who have the potential to become your loyal or VIP customers. So we can actually do all data-driven decisions just by understanding data in depth. And that's where we kind of filed the patent for our technology, because we noticed that a lot of data is not getting utilized. Most businesses are kind of only using 10 to 20% of their data, and the data is come because it is fragmented, it is in different channels. It's kind of a decision maker is unable to do data driven decision making, though they have access to all that data. So that's where we realized what a major problem. And if any business is able to utilize even 50 to 60% of their data to get those actionable insights, their revenue numbers can go like 30% up quarter on quarter. So with that, while we are coming to an end, the one question that we ask each panelist is one piece of advice that you would like to give to budding entrepreneurs or existing businesses in the field of retail, like from your entire journey in the field of business that you would like to share that can help them in their business, that one piece of advice that you would like to give. Maybe let me begin with Jacob.
Thank you. I think that if I had one piece of advice, it's that just because you build it, that doesn't mean the customers will come, right? You can't be a field of dreams myth person. If you're when you're new and when you're young and you're going through those first couple of failed cycles, as most of us have, I think that the biggest mistake I made is believing, well, if I build it, they will come. The core foundation of any e-commerce business is paid advertising, and I think that my number one piece of advice would be accept right now that you're going to have to spend money on advertising, that you're going to have to set aside a certain percentage of profit to invest in advertising, and that your number one most important thing you can do is figure out a successful, meaning profitable, initial cold traffic advertising campaign, and then continuing to explore that and duplicate that and find new traffic sources, new offers, and new creative. That's going to always have to be at the core of everything you do. It enables you to do all the other things you think are important, like influencer marketing or social media this or SEO or whatever other thing that you might be inclined to think is going to be the core of being successful. Cold traffic has got to be your foundation. Cold traffic, paid advertising will never be able to go away, and doing it correctly out of the gate will enable everything else.
Wow, that's an excellent piece of advice. Thank you, Jacob. Let me go to Alicia. Alicia, one piece of advice that you would like to share? I think you're on mute.
Every time. Okay. I think what Jacob said is really important. I probably would have even gone with that, just because I do think there are a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people in e-commerce as well, who do think that, I built it and then I'm just going to tell people and they're going to tell people, or I have this best product, or, this cutest t-shirt, or whatever it is. You might think differently. So, and for some clarity here, our, cart is a similar checkout to what Jacob has. So we're not at mattress level. So it's a different consumer, but I would say, be patient. I think that people want this instant gratification to the detriment of them. And they don't understand the value of being patient. And I don't, be patient with your colleagues, with your employees, with yourself, with your strategy. Maybe get some sleep. Having patience allows you a chance to see the big picture. Because when you put your head down like this, just to work, and you're so addicted to working and to doing, you don't have that opportunity to look at what's really happening, to guide you about what needs to still get done, about what that future is. And so I think it's be patient with your strategy, and pay.
Excellent.
Don't make decisions without first practicing some patience.
Wow, that's a and that I must say, excellent advice that you shared. Excellent, thank you. Deena, one piece of advice from your decade-long experience in the field of marketing. I mean, because I think as a brand custodian that you are in, it's definitely what Alicia mentioned. You are actually, it's a game of patience, and even in case of yours, someone who buying something from Reverie is not going to be an impulsive buy. It's going to be like a lot of research cycle, purchase behavior, like the decision making can happen. Maybe it can start a year in advance when they actually make the purchase. So like from your experience, what do you want to share?
Yeah, you guys have already shared so many great things. I would just add, based upon my years of experience, sometimes you can get stuck in we've always done it that way, or I know best, and acknowledging that we know nothing right now. Nothing, everything has to be well thought out. It needs to be insight driven, and it needs to be evaluated constantly. What worked now did not, or January doesn't work today. What worked last year, year over year, definitely can't say that it applies to right now. So being flexible, staying humble, staying nimble, continuing to be a student of your business.
Wow, that's excellent. And what Deena mentioned, it resonated with one of the quote I recalled by Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO. When he took charge of Microsoft, he mentioned to his colleague that rather than saying know it all, learn it all. And that's how they have been doing it, things gradually and steadily. And suddenly they picked up, not just in terms of software, but in terms of hardware. The amount of innovation that Microsoft has being able to brought in the last 1 or 2 years is tremendous, and that has never happened. So I think what Deena mentioned is really right. And I must say, this has been an excellent panel discussion today with all three of you. You guys have been great in sharing those insights. And what Jacob has mentioned about product education, being the brand who is not just there to sell, but to help become like someone who not just is helping consumers all the time, and how positive reinforcement can make the difference, and how acquiring early adapters, how to acquire them. The advice that Jacob has shared is tremendous, because once you have acquired those early adapters, they become your ambassadors, and sky's the limit after that. What Alicia has touched upon is really, really cool, I must say, because I think business is a marathon, and it's like in every F1 race, the driver, no matter he's driving at 400 kilometers per hour, they have to take a pit stop. So I think those pit stops and that perseverance can help the business in attaining that long-term goal. So thank you so much, Alicia, for sharing that advice. And what Deena has touched upon, the unique piece of advice where how you have to learn, you have to be a student, or no matter how much you know, it's the world is evolving, the technologies are evolving, and marketing is evolving because of the amount of information that consumers are getting. And if you have that attitude of learning, you can do great things with your team and with your external stakeholders, with your internal stakeholders. So with this, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you on behalf of my team at Enalito, and we look forward to learning more from you guys about what you're doing, and looking forward to be in touch. And thank you so much, Deena, for taking out time and joining this panel today. Thank you, Alicia, for joining us in the panel. Jacob, thank you so much for taking out time today. Thank you. You guys have a great week ahead, and thank you once again. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.